Hello, welcome to Ennara Reacts. Today I am watching another video from the Fat Electrician. This one called USA Broad Street Bullies versus USSR Red Army, the real miracle on ice. Which kind of makes it sound like an ice capade, but I highly doubt it. So let's see how it goes.
In the words of Mike Tyson, everybody's got a plan until you punch him in the face.
Okay.
Today we're talking about the Cold War on Ice. Ladies and gentlemen, one of my favorite movies of all time is the Disney movie Miracle. If you've never seen it, the quick and dirty synopsis of the entire movie is basically the Soviet Union Red Army hockey team was undefeated for like ever. They'd won all the Olympic medals. They were winning all the world titles. They were absolutely the best hockey team on the planet, allegedly. Yet the 1980s American Olympic hockey team managed to band together a bunch of college students, and they somehow managed to pull off the miracle on ice by, shedding their egos and coming together to work as a team to beat the Soviet Red Army hockey team. It's a great movie. It's very inspiring. It's got a real Disney appropriate message, but in that movie, they're showing off all the highlights of the Russians, and the coach is explaining how undefeatable this Russian hockey team is. And part of that movie, they go in to explain how the Soviets keep coming over every single year and playing all the American NHL professional teams, and they beat up on them too. But what the movie fails to mention, and probably because it does not have a Disney appropriate message, is that there was one NHL hockey team that not only did not get beat up by the Soviet Red Army team, but whooped their ass so bad that they tried to quit mid-game, and then they had to force them to come back out and continue playing. And that team is the 1976 Philadelphia Flyers, aka the Broad Street Bullies. But first, a word from our sponsor.
Okay.
This video is brought to you by Henson's Shaving. Buh! Why is a guy with a beard promoting a razor company? Buh! Because I gotta separate my beard from my chest hair somehow, homie, okay? The chest hair is connected to the belly hair, which is connected to some other hair that goes up my back, and then it goes to my head, and then I'm not gonna walk around my whole life living like a circle of hair, okay? Anyways, Henson's Shaving, family-owned precision machining company that was originally making parts for like NASA and the aerospace industry. And then one day they're like, what if we just precision machined a razor that was super nice that you could buy one time, it would last you your whole life, and then instead of buying $18.99 Gillette cartridges, you could spend like $7 on 150 razors and be good for a couple of years. So that's what they did. They built a product that looks cooler, it works better, it's actually cheaper than the competition, and the best part of all, it's built with the old school mentality of you're gonna buy this for life. As opposed to the competition that's going out here doing dumb shit like putting gel pads on the razor head so that the razors get all gunked up and disgusting, and then you have to go out and keep buying new refills to shave your face. So if you want to buy the last razor you're ever gonna need, go check out Henson's Shaving. I'm gonna have a link and a discount code down below. Let's get back to the video. But to understand this full story, we need to start from the beginning. In 1967, the NHL was expanding. They were gonna add 6 new hockey teams, and one of those teams that they were gonna add was the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, the men that are responsible for the founding and the financing of the Philadelphia Flyers hockey team are not hockey players. They are just straight up business guys that think that this could be a worthwhile venture to make a bunch of money. Now, this might not seem really important, but it actually is the most important part of the story, and it changes the face of hockey as we know it, because you have to realize at the upper echelons of management at this team, there's nobody that's actually in it for the love of the sport, okay? They're all in it for money, and the money comes from winning. Okay, if you're not picking up on a put down, I'm trying to tell you the Philadelphia Flyers is gonna have some real loose morals when it comes to how that winning gets done, okay? Tradition, sportsmanship, put all that shit off to the side. We're trying to make money.
I'm talking about this.
So they go in, they have their first season, and at this point in time, with all these new hockey teams coming in, there's kind of this stigma around all the new hockey teams that like, these are the JV teams, they're not actually part of the NHL, they're not as good as the OG NHL teams. And because of that, at this point in time, whenever one of the original NHL teams is playing one of the expansion teams, there's kind of that extra incentive to perform exceptionally well in front of everybody and kind of beat up on the new guy. Despite that, the Flyers go into their second season, and they actually end up making it to the playoffs, where they're gonna be playing the St. Louis Blues, and the Blues go in there and literally physically beat the shit out of them, and then that's how they won the hockey game. At which point the Flyers are like, write that down. It's hard to play hockey after you get your ass kicked. So at this point, the Flyers management proceeds to do what I can only describe as essentially building the Monstars from Space Jam.
The Monstars, huh?
Just turned into superstars. Suffering succotash. They're monstars.
In the draft that year, there's this young hotshot college player that's like really, really good by the name of David Clark. The problem is nobody wants to draft this kid because he's a diabetic, and apparently everybody thinks that that's going to be a huge issue when it comes to him playing hockey at the highest level. So the Flyers go out to like the best diabetic doctors in the country, and they're like, hey, is this true? What's the deal? Is this going to affect his performance? And the doctors are like, no, if he follows his protocol and eats and does what he's supposed to be doing as a diabetic, he's going to be just fine. So the Flyers draft him. So now the Flyers have their star. They have their Peyton Manning. They have their Brett Favre, and the best part is he's got an axe to grind because no other team was willing to stick their neck out for him. So this dude is 100% going out there with a point to prove. So now the Philadelphia Flyers have their star. They have the heart of the team. They have their skill player. What are we going to do next? We're going to treat him like he is an NFL quarterback, and we are just going to build an offensive line to protect him. They go out and hire what I'm going to describe as the 4 horsemen of violence. Now I'm going to go ahead and read off some of their stats. Bear in mind, these are career stats, and their careers aren't over yet. So these are not the stats that they have at the current time that they're being brought in, but this is going to give you an idea of who these men are. Also, important context, if you don't know anything about hockey, when you get penalty minutes in hockey, it's essentially you get taken off the ice and you have to go sit in a penalty box and you're not allowed to play for a certain amount of game time, which, as I'm sure you can imagine from like football or any other sport, you know, if your star running back gets penalized and he's not allowed to play for 3 minutes of game time, it can drastically shape the entire course of the game. So penalty minutes are a big deal. So with that in mind, our first horseman is Andre the Moose DuPont, coming in at 6 foot, 200 pounds with 1,191 minutes in the penalty box. Then we've got Don Selesky, aka Big Bird, coming in at 6'3", 210 pounds with 1,129.
Doesn't sound terribly intimidating.
Minutes. And then we've got Bob Kelly, aka The Hound, coming in at 5'10", 185 pounds with 1,454 career penalty minutes.
I'm gonna have to eat every fucking chicken in this room.
You're gonna die for some chickens.
Someone is.
And then we have our headliner, David Schultz, aka The Hammer, coming in at 6'1", 185 pounds with 2,294 career penalty minutes. Okay, this man still has the record for the most amount of penalty time in a single season at 472 minutes. 8 hours of penalty time in a single season. The man could have watched all 3 Lord of the Rings, the director's cuts, while he was sitting inside the box. In a single season, he once got in 34 fights, okay? A, that's a lot of fights. But B, to put that into perspective, at that point in time, the team average for the rest of the league was 30 fights for the team collectively, and this guy got in 34 fights by himself. He literally once got in a fight while the referee was on the ice announcing how many penalty minutes he had to serve for the fight he just got in 30 seconds prior. And as a cherry on top, they hire a new head coach by the name of Freddie the Fog Shiro, a former boxer and philosopher that primarily studies Sun Tzu and Alexander the Great. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, the Philadelphia Flyers are basically just planning to go to war, and David Clark is probably the safest man in the NHL at this point. So for the next couple of seasons, the Flyers go out and they literally just start beating the shit out of the enemy team, so much so that they almost immediately get the nickname the Broad Street Bullies, and all the other teams and their fan bases hate the Philadelphia Flyers. It gets so bad that there's like actually newspaper articles and shit where the newspaper is telling locals from different cities whenever the Flyers show up for an away game, the Philadelphia Flyers are coming, lock up your wives and kids.
Had your kids, had your wife.
Seriously? I mean, they're out to kill on the ice, not necessarily your wives and daughters.
But the management of the Philadelphia Flyers doesn't really give a shit, because guess what? All those other teams aren't the ones that are showing up to watch the Philadelphia Flyers game, which is how they make money. The Philadelphia Flyers end up winning more and fighting more, which guess what? Both of those put asses in seats, and that makes money, and that's the entire goal. During this time, the Flyers end up having winning seasons every year. They have their first successful playoff series, and Philadelphia falls in love with the Broad Street Bullies. And while the winning and fighting alone is probably enough to fill out an entire stadium, it's more than that, because the Broad Street Bullies become like cultural icons in Philadelphia. It becomes well known to all the Flyers fans that after every single home game, the Flyers are going to be going across the street to their bar, Rexy's Bar and Grill, and you can actually go drink with your home team after they win a game. And then every weekend, the Flyers are going out drinking and playing slow pitch softball. So not only could you go and watch your team win and fight, but you could literally go have a beer with them at the bar and then show up on the weekend and play beer softball the entire time. Like, Philadelphia falls in love with these dudes. Like, these are not just the people they look up to, they're like their friends. These guys are family to the entire city. Just because the team's winning doesn't mean that that entire sport's going to become more popular and you're suddenly going to care about hockey because your local team has a good record. Bullshit, okay? I was alive in 2008 when Michael Phelps went over to fucking China and swam really good, and all of a sudden the entire country of the United States pretended that swimming was awesome. Okay, I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. One day, nobody gave a fuck about swimming.
Hunger Games
the next
came
day,
out.
the news came out and was like, hey, have you guys seen this fucking stoner with arms down to his ankles that can swim faster than most Americans kids can run. He's winning a bunch of gold medals in the Olympics. Suddenly, swimming was the shit. Okay, don't tell me winning doesn't matter. So things are going great for the Flyers franchise. They've got more money. More money means better players. So they go out and they buy some more skill players to help out David Clark on the offensive end. They pick up future Hall of Famer Bill Barber and Reggie the Rifle Leach. So now the Broad Street Bullies are going to go out there, beat everybody up, get them nice and soft. These guys are going to go in, score a bunch of goals. It's almost a perfect plan. They just have to make sure that nobody scores goals on them. So they go out there and they pick up future Hall of Famer, legendary goalie, Bernie Perreault. I cannot stress to you how good of a goalie this guy turned out to be. It became a saying in Philadelphia at this point in time that only God saves more than Bernie Perreault. So they've assembled the dream team. They go out in this next season and they crush absolutely everybody. They get 50 wins. They have 103 fights, 1,750 penalty minutes. They end up winning the Stanley Cup. Next season, they go out, they do the exact same thing, even harder. This is a season where David the Hammer Schultz gets 34 fights and sets the record for the most penalty minutes. They go and win the Stanley Cup again 2 times in a row. Now that happened in May of 1975, and in 1975, it's kind of this period of cooling down for the Cold War, right? The Vietnam conflict has come to an end completely. The space race is over. Like things are kind of improving, so to speak. There's still a lot of issues. There's still an arms race going on, but like tensions are lower than they have been in decades. And because of this, the governments of America and the Soviet Union allow the Soviet Red Army hockey team to come over to America to have some exhibition matches with professional NHL teams. These are not treated like exhibition matches, okay? These are the most important games on the planet right now. This is capitalism versus communism on ice. And the Soviet team is absolutely stacked. Every single person on this team has at least one, if not multiple, Olympic gold medals. They all have like 5 or 6 world championship titles. They're a good hockey team, as much as it pains me to say that, but it's the truth.
Build a website you love with Wix. For your words, create your brand.
He said it! He said it!
So in December of 1975, the Red Army team comes over to America and beats the New York Rangers 7-3. A couple weeks later, January 8th, 1976, they play the Boston Bruins, complete blowout 5-2. And now the only team they have left to play 3 days later on January 11th, 1976, is the Philadelphia Flyers, the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and the entire world is watching. People that don't even know hockey, understand it, or have ever cared about hockey in their entire lives are tuning in to watch this game. This is a cultural fucking event. People that have never cared about hockey in their entire lives are suddenly Philadelphia Flyer fans. People that have watched hockey
against
their
the
entire
USSR,
lives, that have hated the Philadelphia Flyers for years because they are the villains of the NHL, are now suddenly rooting for the Philadelphia Flyers. They're no longer the villains. They are the anti-heroes that America needs to go out and shut down the Soviet Red Army team. Big problem, elephant in the room, Bernie Perreault, our goalie, is hurt and he's not going to be able to play this game. We're running on the backup goalie. What are we going to do? Coach Freddie the Fog Shiro realizes that the Soviets skate and move and play the game different than any NHL team, right? NHL teams is like, stop, go, do this. The Soviets are moving constantly. They're always circling. They're constantly skating. They're always compared to being ballerinas on ice. So Freddie says, here's a strategy. Rather than chasing the puck like we normally do, we're going to chase them instead. We're going to put so much pressure on them that they can't do all this pretty ballerina on ice bullshit. Basically, we're going to play like the Soviets play, but more violent. And in doing so, we're going to drag them down to our level. Violence is not the answer. It's the question. The answer is yes, okay? It makes perfect sense. If we control the puck the entire time, they're not allowed to shoot. It doesn't matter who we have guarding the net. Do you know what's better than having really good body armor and getting shot? Not getting fucking shot.
If we win, I'm going to be sky high, and if we lose, I think it'll be worse than dying.
So the Red Army and the Flyers both take to the ice. The Red Army team's all pretty. They have matching, pristine uniforms. They've got their little helmets on. The Philadelphia Flyers come out there, no helmets, no teeth, complete fucking goon squad. They go out there, they stick to the plan. They start beating the shit out of the Soviets.
Why no
when I
helmets?
say them, I don't just mean like the big enforcer type dudes like Dave Schultz. No, every single player on the Flyers team is playing super aggressive hockey, even their skill players. The plan is working exactly how they had hoped. The Soviets have like almost no possession time with the puck. Out of the first 13 shots of the game, the Philadelphia Flyers took 12 of them. Right out of the gate, the Soviets are getting absolutely fucking smoked, and they have no answers for the Philadelphia Flyers. So Karmelov, the Soviet team captain, their golden boy, their main character, goes out there. He gets checked when he has the puck. Wasn't even a hard check, wasn't worthy of a foul, wasn't anything. The dude flops like LeBron or some soccer player hoping to get a foul called. He lays there rolling around on the ground crying, hoping the referee's gonna call this foul. The ref basically has to go over to the Soviet coach and is like, that was a clean hit, I'm not calling it. Tell your guy to get shut the fuck up or I'm gonna hit you with a delay of game. So the Soviet coach throws a fucking hissy fit and tells all of his players we're done playing this game, head out to the locker room, and the Soviets fucking leave. They bounce. We're like 11 minutes into the game and they just fucking dip.
Seriously?
It's still 0-0, and now the world is not gonna have answers on who's actually the best at playing hockey. Now nobody knows what's going on. Minutes are going by like hours, like is the game over? Should I go home and try to beat the traffic out of the stadium? Like, what's the deal? And the NHL commissioner, Clarence Campbell, is like, okay, hold on. In a moment of genius, he hates the fucking Philadelphia Flyers, by the way, but he's rooting for them right now and he wants this game to continue. So he's like, okay, they're communist. They want a moneyless, classless, stateless society. Fuck it, let's put that to the test. He goes to the locker room and tells the Soviet coach, I'm not going to pay you guys the $200,000 you were supposed to get paid for this series unless you get your fucking ass back out on that ice and play hockey.
Yeah, that'll probably do it.
And just like that, the Soviets magically decided that they were going to go back out there and finish this hockey game, okay? Capitalism just won in real life. Let's see if it can win on the ice. The game starts back up. It's 17 seconds in. Reggie the Rifle Leach scores the first goal. 5 minutes later, they score another goal. They've had the puck pretty much the entire time. They're absolutely dominating the Soviets. So obviously, how can we add insult to injury? So Joe Watson, one of the lesser-known Philadelphia Flyers, dude was on the team that won the Stanley Cup this year, and he only scored 1 goal the entire season. He goes up, he scores a goal on the Soviet goaltender that is supposedly the greatest goalie on the planet at this point in time. Everybody in the stadium except for the Soviets, the crowd, the Flyers themselves, goes absolutely fucking nuts. He goes back up to the bench and Freddie the Fog tells him, you just set Soviet hockey back by 20 years. After that, the Soviets do manage to squeak 1 goal in there past the Flyers, so they immediately return the favor, scoring a 4th goal. The game ends 4-1. The Flyers dominated the entire time. The Flyers took 49 shots and the Soviets only got to take 13. In the post-game interview,
That's a
David
big
Clark,
difference.
the captain for the Philadelphia Flyers and the MVP that year, rolls up, no helmet, no front teeth, and says, just so we're all on the same page, this doesn't prove that North American-style hockey is better than Soviet hockey. This proves that the Philadelphia Flyers are better than their best. And that's probably why Disney didn't want to cover this in the movie. It's not the heartwarming, inspiring little tidbit about, oh, it's not about winning or losing, it's about how you play the game. No, this is a story about how sometimes violence is effective and being the bigger bully fucking works. Thanks for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang out. And then, as a thank you to the Philadelphia Flyers for effectively saving the day, they went and changed all the rules in professional hockey to more heavily penalize fighting and violence, and it basically ended the Philadelphia Flyers' success and their 3rd run for a Stanley Cup.
Well, that was lame. Alrighty, there you go. The Flyers, or the Broad Street Bullies, beating up the Red Army hockey team. I will put a link to the original video in the description. And if you have any recommendations for other videos or anything to watch, drop it in the comments. And thanks for watching with me. Remember to hit like and subscribe.